What's good, YouTube? It's ZDogYG here back again, and I took Superheavy again to locals that I managed to get first place. I know it's been a while since I've done a deck profile, but I just wanted to give you a little update on my Superheavy profile. I've been playing this deck for a while now, and as you can see by the extra deck, we've included a new package in this deck. So let's go ahead and get started. Starting off with the super heavies, we're still playing 3 Wakashi, 3 Bike, triple Wagon. This is just the standard line. This is what you will always play if you are going to play super heavy in a pure aspect. These are all just 1-card starters by itself. It still gets you to the original board of Appaloosa, Regulus, and Baron. However, with the new package in this deck being Denglong and the Yang Zings, you can actually end on the counter traps to play around Dark Ruler, but obviously you still want to max out on these because they are your 1-card starters. As well as the other pendulums, we are still on 2 Big Benki and 1 Coral. 2 Big Benki is fine in this deck. If you draw it with something like a Wakashi, you can end up just scaling the Coral. That way your tunneler or your box does not have to search for the Coral. You can just place this off your Wakashi and then still scale the Big Benki. So, as well, we are on 1 scales. Thought about bumping this up to 2. I'm still kind of testing with it, but I think here in the future, I definitely do want to play a second one of this just because it's really good to have for a follow-up. Especially if you draw it off Tunneler, you don't end up having to search it off of a Soul Piercer. And then we're still playing the 1 Stealthy because it's just a free special summon. And the effect to steal, Spell or Trap does come up every now and again. I think at my locals I actually took a Talents and I was able to clear out my opponent's hand and then push for game that way. So, still important. Moving on to the Souls. We are still on triple Soul Piercer. I ended up bumping Soul Gaia up to 2 just simply because I wanted easier access to rank 4s. And this is just a really good card to be able to extend with, especially going second. Because you can just make a rank 4, make a Baguska with this and like a Wakashi, and you have a free Zeus line to try and clear your opponents before you try to build yours. I bumped Soul Peacemaker down to 2. Honestly, I don't really see this card being necessary at 3. In my first version of the deck, I was playing 3 Soul Peacemaker, but honestly, especially going second, I almost just don't go into the Peacemaker as much, simply because it's so much more susceptible to things like Ash or things like Called by the Grave. So, honestly, a lot of times when I'm going second, I always just end up siding 1 out, and I just keep the 1. Because since you have 3 Soul Piercer, a lot of times whatever you're going to summon off of the Soul Peacemaker, you can end up just searching with Piercer and then Pendulum summoning it out later. And then the last super heavy we're playing is the Soul Horn. So this is honestly probably one of the better equips to use because just it equips to any super heavy, and then when it's equipped, it can just special summon itself for free. This is how you get access to the Denglong package in this deck, because this plus Wakashi equals a 5, and it can get you into some really interesting plays. Plus, this is just a free level 1 extender, and it's also an Earth too, so it can make things like Ancient Gear, Ballista. So that's really good. Going on with the Earth package, we're still playing the box and the Tunneler. You have to play this, as well as the Regulus. My original version, I was playing 2 of this card, and honestly, just with how much I go into this card, I kind of want to put the second one back in this deck, just because opening this, like I said in my first profile, it's still just super good, because you can force out a lot of things very early on, or protect yourself from a lot of different things. Especially with the Denglong package, you don't go into Baron as early as just the pure super heavy build. So being able to put a Regulus up on maybe your 3rd or 4th summon comes up a lot. And for our main deck Yang Zing engine, we're on 2 Zephyr Nui, 1 Divine Strike, and 1 9 Pillars of the Yang Zing. So, 9 Pillars is your search off of Denglong, and then the Divine Strike is searchable off of the Zephyr Nui whenever it's Pendulum summoned, or whenever it is destroyed by a card effect. So there's a lot of different boards that you can make with this deck with just 1 or 2 card combos. So the easiest 2 card combo is you can either end on 4 Omni Negates with Regulus, Baron, and the 2 counter traps up, or you can go for the 7 negate board with only 1 of the counter traps. And if you guys would actually like to see that combo video, I can actually show it to you in another video. So please leave a comment on there if you would like to show it. I actually kind of took a lot of inspiration from another deck profile for this deck. I modified it a little bit. The other deck I was looking at played a lot more synchros, but I just don't think they were necessary. But these 2 come up a lot in order to play around things like Dark Ruler, helps you against even like heavier back row matchups like Labyrinth. I know that's kind of one of this deck's main struggles, but just being able to have 2 counter traps that are easily searchable, and there's ways to play around things like Kaijus or Spear Mode with it, is just so good. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, what happens if you go second, or what happens if you win the die roll and game 2 you're not going to go first? You just side these 4 cards out, and you have 4 spots to just instantly put in side deck cards. So I would continue to play this engine. I truly think that this is probably the way to go for Super Heavy, unless you're going to play something like the Formula Synchron engine the Revolution Synchron engine, and playing like the turn skip with King Calamity. And then hand trap wise, we're still playing quite a few. We have Double Bell, Triple Ash, Triple Nibiru, and then Triple Veiler. You could play any real lineup of hand traps. This is just the lineup that I wanted to play, simply because we do have a lot of branded at my locals, as well as we do have quite a bit of Unchained. So Bell actually does come up quite a bit against that deck because it can stop the recycling, as well as Nibiru really impacts them quite a bit because their stuff needs to be destroyed and not tributed. So and that is the main deck. It is 40 cards. You could play the 3rd Bell and bump it up to 41, but I think 40 is just fine. Extra deck wise, we have 1 Denglong. I cannot tell you how crazy this card is, just being basically a free +2. So on summon, it searches for the 9 pillars, and then depending on what you need in the situation, whether or not you need a 6 or a level 5, if you decide to use this as a 5, this plus Tunneler ends up making Baron. Or if you have an extra level 4 on the board and you can't get to the Tunneler, you can end up just sending your 2nd Zephyr Nui and make this a 6 and make Baron that way. We are playing 1 Saratobi. This is just really good for back row. Also comes up in time. This card's just insane. 1 Train. This is for the 7 negate combo. And this comes up. And then just for when you're going second, obviously you can still play the Excel to make the 5th summon Baron, but in this deck it doesn't really come up a whole lot because you're just going for the best board that you could possibly make. As well, you're playing the Baron just because it's so easy to summon in this deck. And that's all the synchros. Like I said, in the original version of this deck that I took inspiration from, they were playing things like Borreload Savage. They were playing the big level 12 Steam Train. And although it does come up a little bit because it can clear your graveyard of the 2 counter traps, honestly, after playing with this deck for a while, the 2 traps in your graveyard doesn't come up a whole lot because Scales, Soul Peacemaker, and Soul Piercer, as well as Soul Horns, they don't require no spell or traps in your graveyard to activate. And Scales is the best card to use for follow-up, so honestly, it doesn't really impact you as much. +2, you still have full Scales, so you have a Pendulum summon that can get you enough bodies to get into a game-winning situation. Xyz, obviously the gear Gigan to go along with the wagon, make it a 1-card combo. We are playing the 1 Baguska. This card still just comes up in case you get drolled or in case your opponent hand traps you to death. You can still just make this and hope it just lasts a turn for you to survive. We are playing the Spriggans package. This is just really good. If you don't have a way to get into your Genius and you need a way to search Sargus, this does come up as well. It just makes a 4 material Zeus for free, basically. Also gives you a 2800 body to attack over things. This comes up actually quite a bit where I'll punch over something, like a negate. Main phase 2, I'll activate Sargus, search the Zeus, or search the Regulus, make the Zeus, clear the board, and then summon the Sargus. And then I still have a one activation Zeus plus a Regulus, which a lot of times against most decks that are grinding against you to try and break your board, a lot of times they can't compete with a board wipe and a negate. And then Lynx, we're on the 1 Ballista because it still just gives you a +2 advantage. The 1 Genius in order to search out your Regulus, or sometimes it can search the Tunneler. 1 Unicorn, just really good to link climb with and go second. Appaloosa, and obviously we're still playing the Access Code Talker because it just wins games by itself. But that is the extra deck. Last little bit for the side deck. The side deck really hasn't changed a whole lot from my original list. I'm still playing the Sage de Fleur as well as the Spider Orchid. Again, I prefer this over Eccentric just simply because this plus Soul Piercer can just break so many boards on its own. You normal summon the Soul Piercer, activate this to pop your Soul Piercer and a Floodgate on your opponent's board, and it just clears out so much interaction between your opponent. And then, like I said, if this goes to the graveyard, you end up just shuffling back one of your monsters, like a hand trap you use, and you search a Spider Orchid to clear another Floodgate. Truly, just, like I said, just an absolute beast of an engine. We are still on 3-draw and Lockbird just because this deck struggles against those heavier combo decks. So things like Pearly, Kashtira still has a problem playing against Kashtira, so these are going to continue to be in the side deck for any reason. The Bestials, 2 Magnemite and 1 Jurisworm. This is simply just for branded, as well as other light and dark decks like Pearly or Tearlament. 3 Retaliating Sea. This is specifically just for branded. This card just absolutely destroys branded because when they go branded fusion, you can just activate the Retaliating Sea. They can't dump anything off Mirror Jade, and then eventually you can just play around it to clear their board of the Mirror Jade. So this card still just puts in a lot of work. And then 2 Kaijus. These are simply just for cash or for Pearly. Or honestly, even I know Salamangreat's starting to become a deck again, so if you ever play against Salamangreat and you draw one of these, you just Kaiju over their big Link 4 and their traps just don't do anything. So, but that is the deck profile. Like I said, the theory behind it hasn't really changed a whole lot, but just with the inclusion of Denglong, like I said, I really, really enjoy this deck. I think this deck is a ton of fun, and like I said, I got first place with it, and hopefully if you decide to pick this up, you can be as successful as I was able to be. But that is all I got for you today, YouTube. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and yeah, peace out.